Welcome to the Animation Podcast, a weekly podcast about all things animation brought to you by FilmBook. My name is Matt Brunet, but some of you may know me as AniMat from my YouTube channel, Electric Dragon 505, home of web series that are all about animation, including Animation Look Back and AniMat's Reviews. Now, if this is your first time here in the Animation Podcast, well, let me just say welcome to this beautiful podcast, and I hope you will enjoy your stay. However, specifically though, what I will be discussing is about the latest news that has happened this week. For example, in this episode, I'm going to be looking into a lot of clips. It features a lot of different videos, whether it be trailers like the new trailer for Ferdinand, or the new trailer for the upcoming Disney animated short, OLAF'S Frozen Adventure, or even just looking at intros like, the upcoming reboot of DuckTales. And then afterwards, we got a bit of news about a TV adaptation of Little Nightmares featuring a very familiar director. And finally, we will end things off with a big AniMat's pick of the week. If you want to check out more episodes of the Animation Podcast, then all you have to do is head on down to FilmBook, that is film-book.com, by searching the Animation Podcast. You can also email us at podcast@filmbook.com with the Animation Podcast in the subject line. And so, for our first story right over here, we actually got a brand new trailer coming from Blue Sky Studios. Now, they have released a trailer before, giving us a little bit of an introduction of what their next animated feature is going to be, which in this case is Ferdinand. And we mostly just got a little introduction of who Ferdinand is. However, now Blue Sky has released a second trailer, and what we are seeing here is going to be a little bit more about the movie itself. So what's pretty much going on is that it gave us a little bit of a whole summary of what's going on inside Ferdinand. Now basically you got this little bull who grew up with this loving and caring family, and throughout his entire life, Ferdinand only knows how to love. And ever since then, he has been known to be this happy bull that everybody likes. But then suddenly, because of one small little incident, he was actually sent out and eventually got himself into a situation where he has to be a bullfighter. So his ultimate goal right now is to find his way to get back home and, to escape the usual portrayal of bulls as a bullfighter and stuff like that. So with the help of some animal friends, including 3 hedgehogs named Uno, Dos, and Cuatro, on top of a cranky little goat, Ferdinand will be on his way to reunite with his friends and family. So overall, when I was looking at this trailer, personally, I'm not necessarily that enthusiastic about this movie because story-wise and how it's written and stuff like that, it just feels like a generic kids film. It doesn't seem like it's going to be really bad. I wouldn't categorize this as one of the worst animated films we'll get this year in the ranks of like the Emoji Movie and the Nut Job 2. It just feels like something that it seems more like your typical kids film, somewhere in the same lengths of like Smurfs The Lost Village, where it doesn't offer anything that would stand out. It's meant more for something that would entertain the kids and nothing really more. I mean, there are a few jokes that are in there that are okay, like at the end when you see Ferdinand trying to slowly get out of a sticky situation and be quiet about it, but then ends up in a car and makes a lot of loud noises. I think that's an okay joke, but the rest, it just feels like your regular kids fare. And what really did emphasize that, it's the animal sidekicks. Like, all the animal side characters, they are just there to be comic reliefs. Rather it be the hedgehogs that are going to be aiding Ferdinand on his journey and stuff like that. They seem more like your typical kids movies comic reliefs. And like they'll have this running joke where like when they mention Trace, like every time they'll just do a little prayer and they'll just say like, we don't mention about Trace. Apparently the punchline being that Trace actually died and stuff like that. But honestly, other than that, like everything else, like even like some of the other characters that were not necessarily going to help Ferdinand, like they're just there to be comic reliefs to add extra jokes into it. And I don't know, even the plot itself I feel like is rather predictable, where Ferdinand is going to go into this bullfighting ring, and like he's going to break out of the stereotypes of bulls and bring out the message of don't judge a book by his cover. And then you're going to have this big journey to go back home and reunite with the family that he grew up with. And that's pretty much all that you're getting, really. I don't know. It just, there's nothing really much here that I feel like is really standing out as an animated film. It just feels like this is going to be something that's just going to be released, and it'll immediately be forgotten. Sorry about that little stutter. But even at that, actually, even when it will be released, people are going to forget it, considering that it's going to be released at the same time as Star Wars The Last Jedi. And even for myself, someone who's actually a lot more passionate about animation, I'm a lot more excited for Star Wars The Last Jedi than I am for freaking Ferdinand, honestly. Like, that one I know is gonna be one that, like, I gotta check it out in theaters. It's like, yeah, Star Wars The Last Jedi, finally! Oh yeah, I gotta do my job. Alright, hold on, gotta do a Ferdinand, gotta check out Ferdinand, do the review, gotta do all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I gotta do that. But yeah, that's kind of the big thing that's going on with this. But if I do have to give some credit to this, I think what could be the strongest point is going to be the heart of this movie. Like, the relationship that Ferdinand has with the little girl that he grew up with the whole time. That could actually be the heart. Maybe that could be executed well. Maybe they could bring out something with it, but other than that, I really don't know. But one thing that I will say that is actually rather unique, and one thing that I've gotten from this trailer, is that more and more, for some reason, I feel like this is less inspired by the actual story itself and more like the Disney cartoon. Because if you look at the art style, it does have a bit of a cartoonier look. And even at that, some of the design of the characters, they do look like something that did come out of that Disney cartoon, especially the Matador, who actually looks the same, like a bit of the same as the one in the Disney cartoon, in which that one over there, that guy is actually modeled after Walt Disney himself. It's a little bit of a caricature that the animators decided to do. And even in here, it actually does have a bit of that same characteristics, especially like with the little mustache and the big nose. It does have some Walt Disney satire into that. So maybe that could be the case. Maybe they got a little bit inspired more into the Disney cartoon for this. But other than that, I have to say overall with this Ferdinand trailer, I just don't really see anything much that looks like it can really stand out as an animated feature. Maybe it could be pretty unique, and maybe Blue Sky might actually find a way to make something good out of it. But honestly, with what they're selling me with this trailer, I'm just not that fully convinced, honestly. But I will say right now, if you guys are actually interested in checking out Ferdinand, which, hold on a sec, where would it be? Okay, I think I know. Okay, no, I do actually remember. So, if you guys are interested in checking out the Ferdinand movie and you want to watch something else other than Star Wars The Last Jedi, then all you have to do is wait until, I believe it's December 17th, the release date? Actually, I'm just going to do a quick search on that. I just want to be 100% sure. Let's see. Ferdinand. Is it going to be released? Oh no, okay, no, it's not the 17th. Actually, it's going to be released on the 15th. So on December 15th, you can actually go and check out Ferdinand. Now our next story that we have right over here, we actually got another trailer, but this time it's going to be highlighting an animated short. Now, very interestingly enough, this was supposed to be released as a standalone TV special, but it turns out Disney decided to pull a last-minute change and put this before an animated feature. And what I am talking about is going to be OLAF'S Frozen Adventure. Now, what's pretty much going on in OLAF'S Frozen Adventure? We actually got our first ever clip seeing what's going to be going on. Let me guys give you a little bit of a summary of what happened in this trailer. Apparently, it's almost the holiday time in Arendelle, and yes, now snow is properly being placed in there. It's not like in the movie where it's actually snowing in summer. But the one big problem that's going on is that apparently it turns out that Anna and Elsa do not have a holiday tradition. And that's mainly because of Elsa's special powers of ice and all that kind of stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about with that. And also the years of isolation that she spent. So she does feel really guilty that they don't really have this family tradition during the holidays. Now, this is where we enter Olaf, and he decided to get this bright idea to go all around Arendelle in order to find a holiday tradition for Anna and Elsa, something for them to go and have fun, to have a great holiday for them. So that's mainly the big goal that Olaf wants to do. So in a way, this is more like I wouldn't say spiritual successor, but more of a spin-off where this time it focuses on Olaf. And like I said last week, I feel like this is more pointless, and you know very well the idea of what went behind this TV special. Honestly, this is just doing it to really capitalize on Frozen. We do not need this to happen. We don't really need any more of these animated shorts and TV specials of Frozen. I mean, like, the movie is enough. Like, I understand all the merchandising, but you don't have to go into these lengths in order to really create all these different Frozen specials. Like, even Frozen Fever is kind of pushing it, to be very honest. But I will say, though, what they delivered in this trailer, it's actually really nice. It does seem really sweet, and the main reason is because you know that this could end up being a very heartwarming tale where Anna and Elsa are gonna get into the holiday spirit. Now, that's the aspect where I do feel that is really nice, and maybe you do get some enjoyable gags coming from Olaf as well. So maybe it could actually have some pretty strong potential. And I did have a bit of discussions about this with a few people. Rather, if this is going to be the case, like this is going to be another Frozen Fever in a sense, where, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but what Disney is going to do is that they're actually going to be releasing this before Coco. So this is going to be the animated short that will appear beforehand, which is actually very unique because I don't think it has ever happened in the history of Pixar where beforehand they have an animated short that is actually made by Disney Animation. I know that it did happen before where they did put up some different animated shorts before a movie. Like, for example, in recent years, the Muppet movies, like The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted, they actually got an animated short with Small Fry and a Monsters University cartoon. And then you also got the live-action Cinderella reboot, where they actually put up Frozen Fever. But this is actually pretty interesting, where you got this animated short coming from another animation studio and then put in front of a Pixar movie. So that's what they're basically planning. But back to what I was saying is that the discussions that I've had with some people is Disney going to treat this like Frozen Fever, where they're really going to advertise, come see Olaf's Frozen Adventure along with Coco? Because keep in mind, these are two pretty opposite movies in a way, where one is set in Mexico with all the heat and stuff like that, and it's in the land of the dead, while you got Frozen, which is more based on the cold, it's set in the holiday season and all that kind of stuff. So is there going to be like that double advertising? And honestly, I don't know, but I do feel like maybe in a sense, like, considering that they are coming from two different animation studios, like, you'll have Coco that's going to be advertised by Pixar a lot, and then you're going to have Disney that's going to be advertising Olaf's Frozen Adventure. I don't really see all the big advertisings that are going to show both Olaf and Miguel from Coco together. Like, I don't think that's really going to happen in that sense, but I don't know, but honestly, I feel like this is going to be a big wait and see. Like, we're going to wait during the summertime, and when fall comes in, that's when we're really going to see a lot of those advertisings pop up of Coco and stuff like that. But in a sense, I actually do understand why Pixar is actually doing this, though. And that would actually be because of The Good Dinosaur. Because keep in mind, the last time that Pixar did release an animated film during Thanksgiving time is actually The Good Dinosaur. And that is so far their first and only box office bomb. So by putting this Frozen not Frozen trailer, but this Frozen short before Coco, they just want to ensure that things are going to be okay with the Thanksgiving release, that history won't repeat itself. So it's more of a just in case kind of thing, because keep in mind, Pixar is much more used to releasing animated features during the summertime. Actually, during around this time, considering like they actually got Cars 3 freshly released, like they're more used to that kind of release date, but they're still rather new to the Thanksgiving thing. But if you guys are actually excited to go and check out Olaf's Frozen Adventure, then all you have to do is just wait until November 22nd when it's going to be out in theaters at the same time as Pixar's Coco. Now our next story that we have right over here is going to be about another new clip that Disney brought to us. But this time we're going to be jumping away from movies and we're going to go into television, this time being the highly anticipated reboot of DuckTales. Now this is not a new trailer that they're showing, but they're actually bringing out the new intro, which in this one, we're pretty much seeing a little bit of a remake of what they've originally done in the original 1980s DuckTales intro, but kind of modernized in a sense, where even the theme song got a little bit of a modern update in a sense. But also, at the same time, while Disney did release that, they have also announced something special that's going to be going on in August 12th. And during that time, some reporters are actually saying that they are pulling an Iron Giant on this one. And allow me to read you a little bit from my source here in Inside the Magic. A 1-hour TV movie kicks off the new series on August 12th. Titled Woohoo, the premiere runs 24 times straight beginning at midnight. 1 month later, on September 23rd, the show officially gets started with 2 new episodes premiering on Disney XD. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Better out than in, I always say. Anyways, premiering on Disney XD, the Disney XD app, and video on demand. So basically, they're starting off with this 1-hour TV special, and it's going to run all day on August 12th. And then later on in September, that's when the show officially begins. But let me just say, with the new DuckTales intro, like, wow, there has been a lot of thought and a lot of effort put into this, because not only does the animation itself get a massive boost, like this is going to be better than the animation that you'll get in the TV show. Like, it really is well done in there. But on top of that, if you're a hardcore Disney fan, you'll see a massive homage to like more different Disney works, not just the DuckTales TV series from the 80s. Like, of course, you got the same tone, you got the theme song going on, but also at the same time, you see a lot of different clips and a lot of different moments where you see Scrooge and the nephews, Donald, and many other characters. They're just hanging out in different alleys with random treasures. And all these moments actually pay homage to some of the illustrations done by Carl Barks, who worked on a lot of Disney comics, especially related to the ones that are set in Duckburg, with characters like Donald, the nephews, Scrooge McDuck, and so much more. So you see that homage going through it. But one thing that I do say that is actually pretty cool is that there is a little bit of a story that's going on in here, where you got Scrooge that's continuously trying to go on a hunt to capture his lucky dime, which is always running around, going all around the world. And right at the end, you see Scrooge finally getting his lucky dime. And at the same time, you see Scrooge discovering treasures, and he is being chased by numerous of villains that will be appearing in the series. And I thought this was a fantastic intro right over here. And on top of that, I gotta say, I'm actually digging this new updated intro, like the updated theme song, actually. That is actually pretty cool right over there. I actually had a blast listening to it, so that's another element that's awesome. But overall, I gotta say, with this this new intro, it's actually really cool. And not only it's a great update to it, but it's very well executed, very well animated. It pays homage both to the previous works, that includes DuckTales, rather it be the TV show or the works by Carl Barks. Like, it really did. So, like, it really did sell me as an intro. Like, this looks like it's gonna be really awesome. But I gotta say, though, if there is one commentary that I gotta do that a lot of people point out that is actually quite hilarious, is that I am actually, like, even myself, I am honestly really surprised how freaking ripped Mrs. Beakley is. Like, I kid you not, like, it happened right at the end of the intro where you see Mrs. Beakley with giant freaking muscles. I kid you not. Like, Mrs. Beakley just went into the same freaking gym as Knuckles to get herself ripped, like how Knuckles did in Sonic Boom. Like, holy crap. Like what kind of gym did she go to? Like, what kind of protein shakes did she take? Like, I'm gonna get those muscles. They look really awesome. Like, holy crap. No, but I thought that was an interesting thing to point out. But yeah, like, this new DuckTales intro is actually really, really awesome. And if you guys are interested and excited to go and check out Scrooge McDuck's Adventures coming back onto television, well, you got August 12th to wait for, and at any time you could go and check out the new TV movie. And then afterwards, on September 23rd, that is when it will be happening. That's when the show will get started. Okay, so for our next story right over here, finally, we're going to get away from all the clips and the trailers and stuff like that, and we're actually going to be going into news. Now, with this one in particular, it doesn't have any news regarding if this is actually going to be either live action or if this is going to be an animated series, but it will contain a very familiar name that really makes me want to go and talk about it here in the animation podcast. There is at least a connection to animation no matter what, and maybe you guys can probably get excited for this as well. So what's going on is that Anthony and Joe Russo, the same guys that you may know behind many of some of the biggest Marvel movies, including Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War, and even right now they are working on the upcoming big Marvel movie that could top them all off, which is Avengers Infinity War, which you bring all the big Marvel icons and you put them in this one big movie right over there. Apparently, what they are doing is that they will be crafting a TV adaptation of Little Nightmares. Now, if you guys don't know what Little Nightmares is, it's actually an independent video game that's just recently been released. And if I may go here in my source on The Hollywood Reporter, it says, the Little Nightmares game follows a 9-year-old girl named Six who finds herself trapped on the bottom of a terror-filled ship named the Maw. With hunger and the depths, one goes to satiate? I think that's the word? I don't know. Maybe, well, I'll sacrifice, I'll pay the price of looking stupid on my podcast right over here to not understand a word. One goes to satiate that hunger as the themes. The storyline follows Six as she tries to escape from the ship while evading capture and death at the hands of characters like the janitor, the twin chefs, and the lady. Oh god, the lady. Let me tell you guys, she is absolutely creepy. Okay, so with all that said and done, yes, the Russo brothers are going to be making a TV series based on the Little Nightmares. What is it that makes it animation-y? What makes it stand out as a project that, for me, it's worth talking about in the animation podcast? Well, let me tell you guys, it's actually because of the director that they brought in. Now, this is someone that it has been a while since we've heard any of his projects, but my God, am I so glad to hear that they brought in this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, the guy that they brought in to direct the pilot and maybe some other episodes as well, they are in talks, we'll see about it, but the director is actually going to be the same man that actually worked on James and the Giant Peach, Coraline, and The Nightmare Before Christmas, the one and only Henry Selick. And I just want to say right now, I'm actually quite familiar with Little Nightmares. I haven't actually played it myself, but I have seen a lot of Let's Players play it. So I have seen the gameplay of it coming from different people like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. And what I've seen from this, my God, yes, they made the perfect choice to bring in Henry Selick into it, because there are actually two movies that people would often mention that they would say Little Nightmares actually share some similarities. One that I've heard the most is actually Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away, because you do get that feeling that you are a little girl trapped in this big supernatural world where you see these weird creatures just, you know, relaxing and enjoying life, and you know, they're just there doing what they want to do, take like a little vacation, rather it be like Spirited Away, where they want to relieve some stress and just go and relax in this bathhouse, or in the case of Little Nightmares, where you got all these ugly fat people just eating everything in sight. Like, all they care about is just eat. And let me tell you, these guys are butt ugly to the point that it looks like their faces are melting, and they're not fat. They are round. Like, their anatomy is like a perfect circle. Well, actually, there is a few exceptions. Like, you got a few little creatures running around, of course, 6, and then you have the lady, which, oh God, you just gotta see for yourself about the lady. She honestly does freak me out. But, no, but back to what I was saying. Another comparison that people have made with the Little Nightmares is actually Coraline. Because, of course, I mean, the obvious one is because the main character 6 is wearing a little yellow raincoat in the similar veins of Coraline. So, of course, there's that direct comparison. But it's also because in terms of the tone, it does bring in a lot of a creep factor. It does add a little bit of suspense and a touch of horror right over there, where you do feel like you're trapped in this weird environment where you could end up being consumed. And bringing in Henry Selick, I feel like it's such a fantastic idea. And I really do hope that he does actually work onto some of the following episodes as well, because that would actually make it a perfect idea, and it would be a perfect fit. This guy actually knows how to deliver that tone, which not only did he bring out in Coraline, but he did throw in a little bit of that as well into some of his other works, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, a little bit of Monkey Bone, and even a little bit into James and the Giant Peach as well. So yeah, it does actually seem like a perfect fit right there, and I'm sure that he can bring out something that can execute that creep factor that we got into Coraline, and maybe a little bit of whimsy as well, since we are entering upon this strange supernatural world. So maybe there could be something going on in there. But how are they going to execute that into a TV show? Especially the fact that it is just a little indie game where you can play for a couple of hours and then you're pretty much done right there. But maybe it's just going to be a mini-series. Are they going to do it in live action, or are they going to do it in animation? Well, honestly, at this point, thinking about Little Nightmares, yeah, I think the only way you can do it really is just through animation, because other than, like, honestly, if you look at the details and the designs that the characters have, I don't see how you can really execute live action with all the different types of characters, especially with the janitor when he has, like, beady little legs and, like, extremely long arms, or you have, like, the twin chefs, where you got like these big fat people. Like, unless you're going to be working with the Jim Henson Company to bring out some puppets or stuff like that, it's going to be pretty hard to imagine how you're going to execute that into live action. So maybe this could turn out to be an animated project. So who knows? But so far, they didn't say a release date for it yet, so we don't know what's going to be going on. But yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for this Little Nightmares project, and hopefully we could actually see this not only as a TV adaptation of this pretty cool indie video game, but also see the comeback of Henry Selick. And now, finally, we are going to end things off with AniMat's Pick of the Week. And for this week, interestingly enough, in terms of entertainment, the biggest news is not related to anything related to movies, to animation, to TV shows, or anything like that. This year, many people are actually focused on video games, considering that we have E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, going on, and each year it's always the biggest event in terms of video games. But AniMat, I know you may say, this is the animation podcast, you talk about animation, not about video games. Well, I mean, is there a rule somewhere where I'm not allowed to talk about anything other than animation? I mean, it is my podcast, I'm allowed to talk about whatever I want. Plus the fact that especially with video games, I'm sure a lot of you people are actually interested in video games in general. But since we also are animation fans, or if you are listening to this, I presume you're animation fans or interested in animation, I decided to make things a little bit simple. I'm going to take all the press conferences that actually occurred at E3 and pick out the best ones, like the major highlights to really go and talk about that could be geared more towards you guys, into something that I would like to call the Animation Fans Guide to E3 2017. Now, we got a lot to cover, but don't worry, it can actually go out quickly. And if you guys are actually interested in any of the games I'm talking about, then you can go and look up some of the trailers and some of the information that's going on. But I'm just going to go out and give you the highlights of which ones that you guys specifically should go and keep an eye on. So, with all that said, let's go and get things started with the first one that made its press conference, which is EA. And apparently with Electronic Arts, they did announce some sports games, they did announce some stuff for, what was it, Battlefield 1? Yeah, they didn't really announce anything much. I mean, the only one that does seem kind of interesting is actually a game called A Way Out. Now, this is actually made by the same people that made Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, and this game is actually made to be co-op only, so you have to be two players to go and play, and it's actually more story-based about these two guys that want to go and escape prison. So that's the only big thing that they really did announce at EA. Next up that we have for you guys is Bethesda. Much like E3, there really isn't anything going on that they have announced. Nothing really that really stood out. They did announce that Fallout 4 and Doom are going to be in VR. And on top of that, especially with the factor of the Skyrim, when you can play it on the Nintendo Switch, if you do put in a Link amiibo, you can actually play as Link in Skyrim. So that's the only thing that they really did announce. But there is one thing that really did make them stand out, and it's actually one of the biggest highlights of E3 this year, which is Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Now, keep in mind, though, this is not necessarily a sequel to the classic Wolfenstein game. This is actually a sequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order, but it's still the same franchise. It's still within the same world and still the same gameplay where you could take out your badass guns and you could go and shoot as many Nazis as you can. Just take them down, blow up their guts, and hear Nazis going, "Mein Leben!" Yeah, definitely really awesome. And I just gotta say, that trailer is amazing, I gotta say. It's a little bit long, it's like 8 minutes, but the variety of stuff that they brought out, it is purely awesome. I definitely recommend you guys to go check it out. It really is a blast. I just gotta say, one of the best trailers that they got this year. But I just gotta say, though, there is one thing that really did make Wolfenstein 2 stand out this year. And yeah, okay, yes, there's the game itself, the trailer. I mean, yeah, like, Wolfenstein 2, like I said before, is a massive highlight of E3. But there is one little event that really did make it stand out that is so stupid that I just cannot ignore it. Now, maybe you have heard the news of it, but believe it or not, when Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus was released in the trailer, you actually got some mentally challenged idiots who actually got offended over the fact that you have a game killing Nazis. I kid you not! People got offended over a game that you kill Nazis. And the comments that they left in there, oh my god, they go beyond the so much for the tolerant left comments. They go far beyond that. Like, you've seen a lot of comments, people are just saying like, oh, this is just a game where you kill people that you disagree with. Why is it that I have to kill white people in this? Why don't I just go and kill blacks and Chinamen and Indians? Why is it that, why can't I kill communists in here? I don't want to kill Nazis, I want to kill communists. SJWs are worse than Nazis because they hurt my feelings more. Oh my god, and this is not an exaggeration. Some of them are actually paraphrasing what those comments actually are. I kid you guys not. I mean, holy crap. Only in Trump's America, man. Only in Trump's America, where you have people so stupid where they have to go on the internet and publicly proclaim that they are literally, and I'm using that correctly, literal Nazi sympathizers. Oh my god, this really does prove that all white nationalists are mentally challenged. Like, they have a serious mental problem that they might as well go and get a lobotomy if they still think that being racist towards people of color is actually okay. Oh my god. What a bunch of pathetic losers. Oh, it's just... like, I just cannot avoid that. Like, I just gotta mention it. Yes, there are people out there that are really that freaking stupid on the internet. Now, I will say right now that there's no point really in going into YouTube and try to find those comments and stuff like that. YouTube correctly decided to go and hide them off into the abyss, or maybe they delete them completely because, like we all know as a fact, all Nazis are horrible human beings, and promoting Nazis is absolutely terrible. You cannot do that. If you do that, you are a horrible human being. Like, at least YouTube did that, so there's no point, but you could go into different articles where they did save it, and, like, they put it up on the wall for the whole world to see, just stupid people being really stupid on the internet. Okay, so now that I've had my fun with Bethesda, now it's time that we're gonna go into one of the big boys, which is Microsoft. And the biggest thing that Microsoft has announced this year is a brand new console. Now, chances are you have probably heard about Project Scorpio. Well, apparently they have revealed what it's going to be. And apparently Microsoft has officially revealed their new and next big console is called the Xbox One X. Now, I just want to say right now, no people, this is not like an updated version of the Xbox One. This is like an entire console on its own. It's kind of like the Wii U in a sense. It's not like an updated Wii, it's just the Wii, it's a new console just called the Wii U, but it's kind of the same thing here where the Xbox One is now the Xbox One X. And apparently what they have announced is that it's going to be coming out this year on November 7th with a $500 price tag. And the biggest thing is that apparently it is so powerful that now it can play games in 4K. So like, they really want to try to go and advertise that 1080p is outdated, and they want to go and make 4K the next big thing right over there. And apparently, yes, you can actually play some of your old accessories from Xbox One, and it does have some backwards compatibility where you can play some Xbox One games, which is actually really good because the majority of games that they have announced this year is actually for the Xbox One. With all that said, though, in terms of the games that they did announce, one big one is actually regarding Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, this is actually a new version where it's going to be set in Egypt. So you basically have an Egypt-themed Assassin's Creed. Some other ones that they have announced, well, of course, one of the big games for Xbox One X is going to be Minecraft. Now you can play it in 4K. The point of that is, I don't know really. But there is one that is actually really interesting. It's called Sea of Thieves. And what Sea of Thieves is basically, imagine the art style of Team Fortress 2, but you take that and you turn it into this, you turn this into this open world game where you are a captain of a pirate ship, and you do some of the usual stuff. And what they've revealed in E3, you see them going on a treasure hunt. They go explore in an island, and so much more, and even fighting some supernatural beings like living skeletons. So imagine Pirates of the Caribbean, but as an open world game. So that's basically what you got in there, and it does look pretty interesting, I must say. Which, by the way, that one is going to be out exclusively only for the Xbox One and Windows 10. Another big thing that they have announced that now, considering that we are animation fans, this is probably the biggest thing for you guys, which is going to be related to Cuphead. And the biggest thing that they've announced for it is that finally they actually do have a release date, which is going to be on September 29th for PC and Xbox One. Now, for those of you who don't know what Cuphead is, believe it or not, it is actually a game that is inspired by the 1930s cartoons made by Max Fleischer. So you do have some of the same looks that are similar to stuff like Betty Boop or Popeye, and even the process of it, in the creative sense, it is all done by hand. It is all hand-drawn, animated. They're actually hand-painted onto cells. The backgrounds are all painted by hand as well. And anything related to computers is just for the programming to take all that art into a game. And in there, they promise that there's going to be a lot of boss battles and a lot of platforming fun and so much more. But I will say, I'm just going to give you a bit of a heads up. A lot of people are saying right now that it is going to be a pretty hard game. So this is not a little fun little kids game. This is going to be something that could be pretty tough. So just a little warning right over there. All right, other things that they have announced. Oh, actually, there is one more thing, and that is actually regarding the last night. And this one right over here, interestingly enough, is actually a show stealer. This is the original game. Yeah, this is like the original IP that really did steal the show this year at E3. Now, the last night, the best way that I could put it is that it really is a mix of retro gaming with new graphic design, or it's really tough to say. You really got to see the trailer to really understand. What you get in the last night is that you got this awesome, you pretty much got this 3D environment of this post-apocalyptic slum-like city, but all the people are actually done in pixelated 2D animation, and it's actually really good, and it really is fascinating. It could be possible it'll go in a little bit into a story, but it might have some interesting gameplay as well. The one thing that really did make me, like, what it actually made me remind myself of, oh my god, I saw, for some reason, like, I remembered it, like, I did research, but I forgot the title of the game, but it actually reminded me. Yes, okay, Out of This World. The game itself actually did remind me of Out of This World, where it does have a little bit of the same feel, the same type of graphics. It really does look unique, so it could definitely have a lot of projects, so who knows how that's going to go. Okay, so next up that we have on our list is Ubisoft, and believe it or not, this is actually one of the top players that people are saying that they actually went really big on this, and some of the announcements that they've made are actually really huge. And the first one that they've made in terms of an announcement is actually the weirdest crossover that anybody could ever expect. And this is even stranger than just random Final Fantasy characters with Disney characters for Kingdom Hearts. Is actually Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. This is a crossover between Mario characters and the characters from Rayman Raving Rabbids, except you don't have Rayman, it's just the Rabbids. And a lot of them are actually dressed up as Mario characters, believe it or not. And they do have a bit of their own quirky personalities. Like the biggest one that really did stand out excuse me, is actually Peach Rabbid, where she actually acts as this, like, valley girl who loves taking selfies. And the gameplay that they have in there is actually really interesting. They say that this is going to be more RPG, and some people have even stated that this could be like Nintendo's answer to XCOM. So it could have a bit of a unique gameplay that could be a little bit more different than what we would be normally expecting in games like Mario and also the Rabbids games. But I just gotta say, I am honestly really excited about this. I'm probably in the minority. When I first heard about this idea, I'm like, yes, I want this. Holy crap. I probably need to go and get a Switch just so I can play this game. It's kind of like Captain Underpants in a sense. It's like the new DreamWorks Captain Underpants movie, where it's like so stupid, you just gotta turn off your brain in order to go have fun with it. I mean, this is a game where Mario is crossing over with the Rabbids. I mean, it's so stupid in itself, but there's gotta be something in there that is purely genius. And honestly, I really am excited to see what they have in store for this one. So this is probably one of those games that I'm definitely reserving to go and get once I finally get myself a Nintendo Switch. There are also a lot of big games that they have announced as well, like Skull and Bones, and also showing Far Cry 5. But the biggest one that they have announced is actually a very long-awaited trailer. Some people have waited for years, almost maybe even decades, that they have waited upon this. And finally, it is actually gonna happen, which is Beyond Good and Evil 2. That is actually happening. Now, I will confess, personally, I am not too familiar with the Beyond Good and Evil game like the first one. I don't really know anything about it, but I will say the trailer that they showed is actually amazing. Like, even I feel like I'm sold on that idea. It really is so good. But also, I gotta say, it's so well done. You actually got a lot of great humor, especially with the monkey character. You got this highly creative world that's going on, and a lot of great action happening at the same time. So it really is such a very well done trailer, a really amazing looking game. Well, that's just the cinematics, of course. I don't know if the game is actually going to look like that, but yeah, it really does look absolutely phenomenal, and definitely one of the best trailers that they got in there so far. Okay, so with that said and done, we also got Sony. Now this time, however, don't worry, this is actually the good Sony, the Sony that actually makes the games for PlayStation and stuff like that. This is not like the this is not like Sony Pictures, where they would do things that nobody asked for, and they're made by some of the most incompetent and stupidest people in Hollywood, where they would do things like an Emoji Movie and clean versions of some of their films like Step Brothers and Talladega Nights. Like, at least they did drop the ball. They did cancel that, at least. But yeah, but pretty much what I'm saying is that now we're going to be talking about the good Sony. The Sony where people actually know what they're doing. And some of the stuff that they have announced is actually pretty big. They actually announced that there's going to be a PS4 remake of Shadow of the Colossus, which I gotta say, I love that game, really is phenomenal. There's also going to be a new Uncharted game, the first one that's actually not going to have Nathan Drake, and the story is actually going to be focusing on Chloe, where she's going to go and hunt for a treasure called the Tusk of Ganesh. Oh boy, so woo, fudge nabbit. Sorry about that, guys. But the big one that they did announce is actually going to be Spider-Man. Now, this is not going to be connected with anything related to Spider-Man right now. This is not going to be based on the previous movies. This is not going to be Spider-Man based on Spider-Man Homecoming. This is going to be a standalone Spider-Man game made by Insomniac. And they did actually release a gameplay trailer of it. And I gotta say, just by looking at it, I feel like this is going to be the Spider-Man equivalent of Batman Arkham Asylum, because it really is heavily based on stealth and action. But you do get a lot of the Spider-Man aspects, where you got a lot of web slinging action, where you got to use your web to catch bad guys, a lot of different types of action. It does look like it's going to be a pretty solid and pretty cool game right over there. And then another game that you have is actually going to be God of War. This is actually going to be a new God of War. Some people are saying it's a soft reboot in a sense, where Kratos is actually going to have his young son, and instead of looking into Greek mythology and stuff like that, this time they're going to be focusing on Norse mythology. And what we are seeing in terms of the gameplay is that it could be possible it'll be focused a lot more on, trying to, the usual God of War stuff where you, like, hack and slash bad guys, but also trying to take care of your son, who's going to be joining you in the battles, but you gotta make sure that he's okay. So, in a sense, it's God of War with a little bit of Yoshi's Island, maybe. I don't know. Except you're not gonna have a crying kid on your shoulder all the time. And other than that, that looks like it's gonna be it in terms of the big updates. But then, we have saved the best for last. The one that people have proclaimed that this is the winner of E3 this year, believe it or not, is actually Nintendo. Yes, Nintendo was actually the big one that announced some of the biggest games this year at E3. And many of them, well, they're going to be released a lot later, like in 2018, but they did announce that many of their big franchises are going to be coming onto the Nintendo Switch. Some of the big examples include Yoshi, in which that's going to be a bit of a spiritual successor of Yoshi's Woolly World, and this time, like, Yoshi's more of like a plush toy in this environment that's made out of toys and cardboard and stuff like that. It's like Yoshi, but if it were made by the imagination of Andy from Toy Story. You also got another one, which is Kirby, which in this case, they're bringing back the old idea from the canceled games, where you can actually possess some characters. So, like, actually, you can possess enemies so that they can become your ally. But the biggest thing that they are coming back with this Kirby game is actually combining abilities to turn into this one new big ability. So they're bringing that back from Kirby 64, the Crystal Shard. So that's going to be returning. Another big one is that even though there is no announcement of what that game specifically will be, but apparently it is confirmed that there will be a core Pokemon RPG game that will be coming to the Switch. And then, not only are we getting one, but two new Metroid games. Yes, Samus is going to be coming back. One game on the 3DS that's literally called Metroid Samus Return. And then another big comeback, like another big comeback for this series, pretty much like Beyond Good and Evil 2, Nintendo has announced that they are making a Metroid Prime 4. Yes, that's legit gonna be happening. And then, they also went and announced some new stuff for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, for those of you who have a Nintendo Switch, then there's a very high chance that you also have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Well, don't put it down just yet, because apparently there's going to be more stuff that's going to be coming, including 2 new DLC packs. Apparently they're going to give you new missions, and on top of that, they're also going to be giving you new equipment. And also, on top of some of the other video games that they did announce that's going to be coming onto the Switch, they also announced that there's going to be a new Fire Emblem game called Fire Emblem Warriors. Now, before I get into the grand finale, let me go and talk to you guys about another little thing that Nintendo has announced, which is Amiibos. Yes, there are going to be some more Amiibos that are going to be coming our way. And the big things that they have announced is that coming soon we're gonna get some Fire Emblem amiibos, including Chrom and Tiki. And then on top of the announcement with the Metroid games, we're also going to be getting a standalone Metroid amiibos, including Samus for Metroid Samus Returns, and then you also got the little Metroid. So rather if this is the ally Metroid from Super Metroid, or maybe this is just a regular Metroid enemy, who knows? But I gotta say that amiibo actually does really look cool. But then you also got more amiibos for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which they say will include the Goron champion Daruk, the Rito champion Revali, the Zora champion Mifa, and the Gerudo champion Urbosa. So they are going to be coming in as an amiibo. And then also you got a lot of Mario amiibos as well. Some of the new ones actually include some that are based on Mario enemies, including a Goomba and a Koopa Troopa. And then also you got wedding-themed Mario games. Sorry, that's just the phone right over there. Don't bother with that, don't worry. Somebody will pick that up soon. Anyways, as I was saying, you actually got wedding-themed Mario amiibos, including Mario, Peach, and Bowser, and that's going to be based on the game that's going to be coming up that I'll talk about. And I just want to say about those amiibos in particular, holy crap, you know that in 2018, people are going to take those amiibos and they're going to be the next big cake toppers. I mean, for God's sakes, like, you'll have, like, a couple that are huge video game fans, and of course they're going to buy the Mario and the Peach one, or even just the Peach and the Bowser one, and they're going to use that as wedding cake toppers. You know for a fact that is going to happen. Okay, now, with all that said and done, we are going to get into the grand finale of E3. The last thing that they have announced for it. Now, this is a game that we already know is going to be coming out, but this is Super Mario Odyssey. Now, we know that technically with this one, last time that people have seen Super Mario Odyssey, they have discussed about how Mario is going to be teleporting into different worlds, whether it be the real world and New Donk City, or they're going to go into a dinosaur world, or they're going to go to a Dia de los Muertos world, kind of like in the Book of Life or Coco, and so much more. But in this one, they actually introduced the mechanic of what's going to be happening in Super Mario Odyssey. What is going to be the point of it? And in here, you know that you got like a special little hat that's going to be a bit like a character as well. But in here, the hat will allow you to control anything around your environment. So Mario can actually go and transform into Goombas, into Koopa Troopas, into Bullet Bills, into Cheep Cheeps, into Boos, and so much more. So Mario would be able to go and do that. But like I said, it's not just enemies, but also your environment. You can go and transform yourself into a little frog. You can turn yourself into a realistic person. You can turn yourself into a cab. And la pièce de résistance, the magnum opus of that Mario trailer, is that Mario can turn himself into a giant T-Rex. Now, when I mean T-Rex, it's not like those cartoony Yoshi-style dinosaurs. No. This is a realistic, giant, life-size T-Rex, something that came straight out of Jurassic Park, and you can control that. And I forgot to mention also, when you possess something, that thing will actually have the mustache, the signature hat, and also will be having blue eyes, since Mario does have blue eyes. So, yeah, that's kind of the big thing, is that you can control anything and everything. And might I add, holy crap, the graphics are beautiful. A lot of people would make fun of Nintendo not being graphically advanced as some of their competitors like Sony and Microsoft, but this one, it really does knock it out of the park. It looks beautiful. It looks phenomenal. And I gotta say right now, the best trailers of E3 are hands down Super Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein 2, and also, what was the other one? Oh yes, Beyond Good and Evil 2. So yeah, they definitely sold that one. And I can definitely see why Nintendo is proclaimed as the big winner of E3. It really does show, and it really does look rather exciting. So that's pretty much it. That's all the big updates that pretty much you guys would need to know about E3 2017. If there are more that I kind of skipped over or that I didn't really mention that really did catch your eye on E3, you can leave a little comment down below about your thoughts on how E3 went or some of the other ones that really did stand out. But anyways, that is pretty much going to be it for this week. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Animation Podcast. You can go and find more of my work at film-book.com. All you have to do is search for Mathieu Brunet or the Animation Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at AniMat505. Now, if you have listened to this podcast on iTunes or any other podcast service, do you mind doing us a little favor and rate and review this episode? That would be lovely. And if you are listening to this podcast on YouTube, then hit that like button on our video and leave us a little comment on your thoughts on the news this week. Tune in next week for the latest episode of the Animation Podcast and all things animation. Thank you guys so much for listening. And until next week, see you later, dudes.